The late afternoon sun bled across the horizon, setting fire to the edges of the sky. Fields of corn swayed like golden waves under its glow, and the air smelled faintly of soil and sweat. At the edge of that farmland stood Claire Cole, 19 years old, a basket of fresh-picked carrots cradled against her hip. Her straw hat shielded her dark eyes, though the fire in them needed no shade. The rumble of an old pickup grew louder behind her. Then came the voices, mocking, careless, loud. Four boys, varsity jackets in bright blue and yellow, swaggered down the gravel path. The kind of boys who thrived on being adored in the stadium lights, who mistook arrogance for strength. One stepped forward, smirking. "Hey farm girl," he called. "Nice tattoo you got there. Too bad ink doesn't make you less dirt poor." His buddies laughed, their voices carrying across the empty field. Claire said nothing. She adjusted her basket and kept walking, each step steady, deliberate. But he wasn't finished. He lunged forward, grabbing the edge of her red plaid shirt and yanking it open. "What's a farm girl gonna do?" he sneered. The laughter grew louder. For a moment, it seemed the whole world tilted toward their cruelty. Then Claire moved. With calm precision, she tugged her shirt wider, not in shame, but in defiance. The tattoo across her chest caught the sunlight, a pair of angel wings cradling folded hands around two dog tags. Beneath it, bold ink spelled a name, Sergeant Daniel Cole. Her brother. Her protector. Her fallen soldier. The laughter died like smoke swallowed by the wind. The ringleader's smirk faltered as his eyes locked on the words. Silence spread, thick and suffocating. Claire held his gaze, voice low and steady. "That's my brother. He died serving this country. So the next time you want to laugh, remember he gave you the freedom to." For the first time, none of them had anything to say. Before we go deeper, let me pause here. If stories like this touch you, if you believe in courage rising from loss and voices that refuse to be silenced, then you're in the right place. This is SoulTouch Stories, where every tale carries the weight of the heart. Hit that subscribe button and join a family that values stories that move us, stories that remind us what it means to endure. Now, back to Claire. The boys didn't stop with their mockery. Humiliation has a way of festering into cruelty, and within a week, their laughter returned in darker form. Claire woke one night to the sharp scent of smoke, the crackle of fire tearing through the western fields. She bolted barefoot across the dirt, her throat raw from screaming, but the flames were already consuming the corn. In the distance, she saw them, silhouettes in varsity jackets, running off into the dark, their laughter carried on the wind like a haunting melody. By dawn, acres of crops were nothing but ash. Claire stood at the edge of the ruin, soot smeared across her face, tears cutting silent paths down her cheeks. The farm Daniel once walked, the land he had sworn they'd protect together, was blackened beyond saving. Her mother, worn thin from double shifts at the diner, broke down. "Claire, maybe it's time to sell. We can't do this anymore." But Claire shook her head, voice trembling yet unyielding. "This land is Daniel's legacy. Selling means letting them win. I won't let that happen." The days that followed were grueling. Insurance covered little, neighbors offered sympathy but no hands. Each sunrise brought more work than her body could handle, rebuilding fences, digging irrigation trenches, salvaging whatever crops hadn't been lost. At night, she collapsed into bed with her muscles screaming, her palms blistered, her spirit tested. Sometimes she cried into her pillow, muffling the sound so her mother wouldn't hear. And always, before sleep claimed her, she touched the tattoo over her chest, whispering to her brother. "Daniel, I don't know if I'm enough for this. But I'll try. I'll try because you believed I could." The bullies returned once more. Claire was hauling buckets of water when they approached, their laughter sharp, mocking. One called out, "You think you can save this dump all by yourself? Maybe get the dog to help you plant?" Another folded his hands in mock prayer, bowing toward her tattoo. "Saint Daniel, bless your little sister's farm." The words cut like glass. But instead of breaking, Claire dropped the bucket with a heavy thud and strode toward them. Dust rose with each step until she stood eye to eye with the ringleader. You think strength is about who laughs the loudest, she said, voice calm but unshakable.
Strength is carrying what no one else can.
It's fighting for something bigger than yourself.
And I'll fight for this land until my last breath.
The boy opened his mouth, but no words came. Her stare pinned him harder than any fist.
The silence stretched until, one by one, they turned and walked away. But the true enemy wasn't them. It was exhaustion. Doubt.
The crushing loneliness of knowing no cavalry was coming to save her. That night, Claire found herself sitting beside the barn, staring at the stars, tears blurring her vision. Daniel's dog, Ranger, padded quietly to her side. He was graying now, his muzzle flecked with white, but his eyes were sharp, loyal. Claire buried her face into his fur and whispered, I can't do this without him. Ranger let out a low growl, not at her, but for her. He pressed his muzzle against the tattoo, as if reminding her, you're not alone.
He's still here.
I'm still here. Something shifted inside her.
If Ranger could keep guarding, she could keep fighting.
Claire worked harder than ever. She replanted late crops, bartered with neighbors for seeds, and took odd jobs in town to scrape together enough money for fuel.
Ranger patrolled the fields day and night, his bark chasing away anyone who dared return.
Slowly, the community began to notice.
An elderly farmer dropped off spare hay bales.
A teacher brought her students to help clear debris. Even the local mechanic offered free repairs for her tractor. People who had once dismissed her as just a girl now saw resilience burn like fire in her, and it stirred something long forgotten, hope. Word spread about the boys who had mocked her and burned her fields.
Shame followed them like a shadow.
Their laughter faded into silence when they walked past others in town.
Months passed.
The fields grew again, green and strong against the odds. One crisp autumn morning, Claire carried a basket of vegetables into town, the first harvest since the fire. The streets buzzed with chatter, but when the bullies spotted her, silence fell. They stood at the edge of the crowd, eyes downcast, no smirks on their faces. Claire walked past them without a word, her head high, the tattoo glinting in the sunlight.
Victory didn't roar that day. It whispered.
And sometimes, whispers are louder than shouts. Claire's story is proof loss may break us, but it can also forge us into steel. If you've walked this far with her, if her journey stirred something inside you, take a moment to like this story, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to SoulTouch Stories. Every story we share is a tribute to courage like hers, to voices that refuse to be silenced. Years passed, and the farm thrived again. Rows of corn stretched tall, wheat shimmered in the wind, and Ranger, gray-muzzled but proud, trotted loyally at Claire's side. She no longer walked alone, neighbors, friends, and even strangers had become part of her journey.
And the boys? They faded into obscurity, forgotten by time. Their cruelty was a brief echo. Her strength became the lasting song.
One evening, as the sun dipped low, Claire stood at the edge of the field, hat tipped against the horizon. She touched her tattoo, whispering to the wind, "You were right, Daniel.
I was tougher than the world ever let me know."
The wind rustled through the corn like a brother's laughter carried home.